Welcome to Sunstein Podcast episode number 4 of interview, and I am your host Yogeshwari Sugumar, and here we have the special person who I always admire. I will run out of words if I wanted to describe about him because he's so amazing and sweet as well. You can look at him right now, blushing. Welcome, Dr. Suryadeep Majumder, to episode number 4, especially interview part 4. How are you feeling today?
My God, I think when we started out, we never really thought that it's going to go till episode number 4. So really excited with the way we've been moving forward. And I'm sure this particular episode will have much more bulbons.
Yes, absolutely. Because the questions that I've chose for this episode is going to give us a lot of opportunities to explore, a lot of scopes to talk about what really happens in the interview. I mean, we often are excited about the back end screen, what happens in the back end, right? And that's what we're going to discuss, what happens after the interview or what goes inside the head of the one who is recruiting. Now, my first question for this episode is, what are the questions that an interviewer will have as a standard question? And what is the ideal answer to those questions?
Now, this is going to be pretty much like a big, long list, but I will actually bring up the top 5 of them and the top 5 which I personally like to ask and which is relevant to any possible department that you talk about. So the first is, please introduce yourself to us. And the right answer, the way to approach this question is, don't talk about where are you, what is your nickname, where are you from, who are your parents, what does your parents do and stuff. It really doesn't make any sense. Here's what I would introduce myself. Let's just say if I'm applying for a job as, let me take an example, a business development executive, someone who brings sales to the company. Sales, again, every company has proper salesmen. So if I'm applying for a job, my introduction will be, good morning or good evening or good afternoon, sir or ma'am. My name is Dr. Suryadeep Majumder. I am on a mission to carve out a version of myself in which I can bring absolute crazy set of revenue for the company that I strive for. Over the last 2.5 to 3 years, I've been obsessed with learning skills like communication, confidence, understanding various job profiles and roles, along with my academic expertise to make myself eligible to sit in front of you today and express myself completely for this interview. I'm super excited that this particular job opportunity has finally given me the opportunity and pleasure to bring those hard work over the past couple of years into the table. Thank you so much. That's all about me. What are you trying to do over here? You're not expressing everything because they are again going to ask you a set of questions. You don't want to pound out everything in the first question itself. So just give an overview, your mission and vision. That's it. That's exactly what you would want to express. Number 2, what are your biggest weaknesses? Now, strengths, it's already written in your resume. Nobody writes their weakness in the resume. Oftentimes, what I have observed over, I think 45 plus interviews, the last time we discussed, I think after that also I had to take a couple of interviews. So yeah, people will get confused in 2 segments. Number 1, they don't even know about their weakness. So they'll say, if I get to know, I'll tell you. Seriously, all this while you've not even got to know about you and suddenly you'll start getting to know about your weakness. Or number 2, they're going to stick to 1 or 2 weaknesses. I mean, you got to be very brutally honest over here. You got to come up with at least 3 weaknesses. At least 3. And when I say 3, you have to talk about what is the weakness, give a 1-line teaser about it, or just a little throwing some light on it. And at the same time, the next line will be, how are you working on it? So here's what I had told for my position of head of training and development when I was asked this question, what are your biggest weaknesses? And so number 1, I'm very emotional. I laugh very much when I'm happy. I cry very much when I'm sad. I vent out and really outburst whenever I'm angry. What do I do about it? I am in the process of learning how to channel any emotion into more work. So now they already know it. Number two, I am emotionally connected to my workplace, which means if somebody tells me any hurting words, I will take it personally, I will feel bad, and the impact will come into my work. What am I doing about it? I'm keeping myself involved into meditation and personal development and mindfulness. You see, I'm just giving you two examples. You got to be very, very clear about your weakness. If you do not know your weakness, ask someone, maybe a friend or a family who knows you. Ask them about your weakness. They'll be able to tell you not just 4 or 5, but 10, 15, 20. Number three, what is the uniqueness that only you will bring in? What is the uniqueness that only you will bring in, which is also can be reiterated as why should we hire you and not anyone else? Now, in this question, people will talk about I'm going to be very hardworking, I can bring a lot of energy. And you have to. The answers that I get is like what every employee is supposed to bring in. What is the uniqueness that only you can bring in? So here's what I answered. Sir, whatever responsibilities that I'm given in the job, I do not expect the company to teach me or train me on that after a certain amount of time. Rather, the company will value me if I myself is going back to the drawing board and learning those skills that's going to make me more competent for this particular job profile. Before and after my working hours, I'm obsessed into learning. Learning not just for knowledge, but to transfer that knowledge, transform that knowledge into implemented skill set that can actually allow me to bring more value in the company. That's my obsession. That's my USP. Now think about, look at this answer. It's a simple activity of going and purchasing Udemy courses and going through it before or after my working hours, let's just say half an hour and half an hour. But imagine all your fellow employees, probably existing employees also will not do that. The companies these days are giving you a certain amount so that you can spend and buy those courses and learn, but still they don't do it. And yet you decide to do it half an hour, 1 hour every single day, and just enormously it gets compounded. So bring that USP. Number four, where do you see yourself 10 years from now? That's very, very important that this particular question is answered with absolute clarity. If you are in a job, you do not want to say that you want to be an entrepreneur, because this question indirectly is all about whether you are committed to the job or not. Now, I for sure want to be an entrepreneur. Yes, I do at some point of time. But then I reiterate that in a way that the company is able to trust my vision. Here's what I said. Sir, I will not deny that at some point of time, I would want to create some kind of a startup on my own. But at least for the next 10 years, I know I will have to learn those set of skills which is needed to get to that position. In the next 10 years, I would love to stay in a company and grow up the ladder, learning the business from the grassroots level right till the top. 10 years later, I see myself as a board of director or a managing director or any top-notch leadership position in the company. And in that process, learn all the skills that is going to take me there. Loyalty is one of my USPs. You see, you're bringing in things which are not there on a culture where either you are fired or even if you are there, you don't grow enough. You tend to switch jobs just to get that little hike and stuff. And yet we forget that at the end of the day, loyalty, trust, faith, these human traits is what connects an ideal employee to an ideal job. Number five, this is probably the weirdest of them all, but here's what I actually love that. And when I was actually going through interviews, this was another very interesting thing that I was asked. In your resume, there will be certain elements which includes curricular activities, strengths, skills. And I'm going to repeat this: curricular activities, strengths, skills. And of course, if you're an experienced professional, then your experience that is which company you worked for, what were the core responsibility areas. I did mention about, I think, KPIs and KRAs in the previous episode. Now, these areas are so tricky because I will, not just me, anyone, any interviewer would want to get to know the depth of what you have written in the resume. So I'll take a very, very interesting example. You have mentioned time management as one of your skills. Where have you learned it from? And how do you manage your time? Give me a specific skill. Ideal answer: there's a technique called as Pomodoro technique. There's a technique which is called as journal entry. There's a technique which is called as Excel tracking. What method are you using to manage your time? It's such a simple question. What you are supposed to do is give that answer, specific answer, exactly as you are being asked. And of course, I'll just give a bonus thing. It's not just 5, there's one more. What are your salary expectations? My God. Candidates completely mess up in this particular segment. And I'll tell you, this is probably one of the greatest turn-offs and turn-ons. Because even later, at some point of time, either your boss is going to call you and ask you what salary do you expect, if they're willing to renegotiate, or if you feel qualified enough and worthy enough to ask for a raise, you would have to actually go and tell them. And they're still going. So this is one question that stays constant, irrespective of your field or your position, whether you are working or not working. And here's what I would ideally want a candidate to do, or something that I also personally try to follow. I know that this is a question that is going to be asked, and at the end of the day, we work because we want to get paid. So first thing that I will do is I will do research on that particular position. We took an example of a business development executive, or in simplified word, the salesman for the company, or the consultant salesperson for the company. What I will do is I will go to a website like justdial.com, Glassdoor, Shine, Naukri, all these different portals, job offering portals, and I will try to research what is the salary bracket that is being offered. If you don't know all these positions, just go to Google and type what is the average salary for this particular position in that particular country. Do the research and then try and see how many skills is needed for that profile. Rate yourself on a scale of 0 to 10. How much of a proficiency do you have in those set of skills? Accordingly, choose the bracket. The salary bracket will be given. You got to figure out that range. And that way, here's what my answer would be. Let's just say for a business development executive. Good evening. Yeah, sir. According to my research, the average salary bracket for a business development executive in India is between 3 lakhs per annum to 6 lakhs per annum. Keeping my expenses and the responsibilities that bestowed upon me by my family, my monthly expense has to be, let's just say, 40,000 per month. Based on the number of skills that I bring in and my expertise that I bring in, I somehow feel that I fit into the range between 5 lakhs to 6 lakhs per annum. Meaning, if I get somewhere between 40 to 43,000 per month in hand, not only will I be able to justify my position in your company, but also have the right motivation, internal as well as external, that I'm being valued, my family is being taken care of, and I don't have to think of other means to earn more revenue. It's so simple. If they're asking you for an amount, you give them an amount. So I think I mentioned 6 questions. Yeah.
That's a huge bulb-on moment for me. I could say I have written pages and pages of notes. Just before I could proceed further, I wanted to tell this to our audience who are seeing us right now, that this particular conversation is happening completely impromptu. Neither I am prepared with the questions, neither he is prepared with the answers. In fact, he has no idea about what I'm going to ask next, or what will this interview questions are all about. No clue. So as you are seeing here, it's completely transparent, live, and we are doing it spontaneous, impromptu. And now you could understand the knowledge that this guy has, this amazing person has. And I really salute the kind of clarity that you bring in with every point that you speak. Just to summarize, because I actually thought we'll cover up two topics, but this one topic itself has its own depth. So we are going to stop this episode here, and I would like to summarize that the top 6 questions you can expect from an interviewer. First one, your self introduction. Question number 2 is, what are your weaknesses? Now, don't say I don't know, or don't say that, don't stick to the answers that he gave us. Don't say I don't know, don't stick to only few set of weaknesses. Make sure that you dig deep about yourself, come up with at least 3. And question number 3 is, why should we hire you? And that's where you need to bring up your USP, your uniqueness, and you have to become more competent when it comes to comparing yourself with other candidates, and make sure that you have your learning habit even after getting your job. So in India, most of the people, once they hop into a job, they stop learning. Please don't do that. Question number 4 is, 5 years down the line, where would you want to see yourself? Now, please don't say that you wanted to be an entrepreneur, because the companies will not, the ones who are hiring will not encourage that, because they are looking for someone who will be dedicated to the post that they are hiring. So please don't say that. In case if you have any such dream, what you can do is you can actually convey it in such a way that right now, just because they are going to hire you, you will be loyal, and whatever the skills that you are learning, you will help the company grow, which in turn will help you to have your business in later days, in case if you want. And then question number 5 is, they wanted to know the depth of your the skills that you have written in your resume. So whenever they ask about anything, make sure that you give them straightforward techniques and methods. How did you learn it, and how will you going to use it? Number 6, which is the bonus, is what are your salary expectations? And here is where most of the candidate, if you are very new, like first time you have just graduated and you have entered into the life of professionalism, you wanted to get a job. So at times, even I have done that mistake. I will say that I don't know, and anything that you give is okay. Never do that. Do your research, get to know what is the salary bracket rightly pointed by Dr. Suryadeep, and you can give them a number. So with this, I hope that I did justice to summarizing the entire episode. Actually, you might have seen when he was explaining, I didn't look into the camera, rather I was looking down. I am taking notes, serious notes, so that I can give you the summary. So do check out our other videos as well, because this has part 5. And if you are new here, if you haven't checked out part 3, part 3, part 2, 1, please do go check out. It's a series, and it's going to help you to crack your interview. And we are here to help you out, hoping to see you in person. With that, this is Yogeshwari signing out, and that is okay. He's muted.
This is Dr. Suryadeep. Thank you so much once again. Yeah.
Bye bye.